A couple of days ago, an email came in via my website. I looked at it. I thought, well, this must be a hoax, surely. It purported to come from Seaford Head School in East Sussex. Sadly, I've now learned that it is true. Let me share the contents of the letter with you. Dear parents, carers and students, for some time now, the houses of Seaford Head School have been named after famous figures who are supposed to represent the school's core values. However, recently, we have gained increased awareness of the actions and attitudes of some of these people, and their appropriateness as representatives of the houses has been questioned by students. For example, Churchill could be considered to be an important historical figure. Could be considered. However, we are now more aware that Churchill was a figure who promoted racism and inequality, unfairly imprisoning and torturing many. And they go on to say that prejudice must not be encouraged within their community, and therefore the name of Churchill is going to be removed from one of the houses at Seaford Head School. Now, this is signed by two of the sixth form students. They say they've consulted with the student body. They haven't consulted with the rest of the youngsters at that school. They haven't consulted with the parents, who often in these things don't seem to count for very much. I've no doubt, though, they have been encouraged by some of the teaching staff in this school. I could launch an attack on these two students. I could say, don't you idiots realise that if it wasn't for Churchill, Nazi Germany would have dominated Europe. You probably would have grown up speaking German and wouldn't even be able to have free speech and debate and to have your own opinions. But that, I think, wouldn't be fair. We must ask ourselves, why do we have young people who've got these very, very odd, warped views about somebody who actually saved the free world? Somebody who, for his whole career, campaigned against anti-Semitism. And the reason is actually it's not the fault of these youngsters. It is our educational establishment through schools, and it's even worse at universities, who are promoting a hard left Marxist agenda, whether they know it or not. It's all dressed up in terms of racial equality. It's all dressed up to be being nice and tolerant about the world. In fact, behind it is a very deep intolerance, a loathing and a hatred of anybody with a different point of view to you. The liberals now are, in fact, the most illiberal people that have probably ever lived. And it's dangerous because anybody that dares in the classroom to stand up against this kind of narrative will finish up being demonized. And I know this is happening through schools and universities right across our country. There is a cancer in our educational establishment, a small Marxist minority who, through political correctness, are not facing any opposition. These people, be clear, want to destroy our country. And you do that by attacking its heroes. You do that by attacking the Christian principles upon which it was formed. And I would say this, if I was a parent with a child or children at Seaford Head School, I would not put up with this. The silent majority only win if they're prepared to give voice to their true feelings. And yes, of course, there are things that Churchill said or did in his life that might not accord with the way in which we view the world now. But you can't judge every single historical figure by the values that we commonly hold today. That would be ridiculous. In fact, this actually is the route to the very extremism that these people think they're against. It is by rewriting history. It is by changing school curriculums. It is by changing the names of a house at a school and by demonizing important historical figures. That is the path to totalitarian thought. That is the path to losing our freedom of speech and our liberty. And we've got to take a stand. And it's very tough to say this to 16 or 17-year-olds, because if they do speak out, they will get attacked. But parents can make a stand against what these schools are doing. Parents need to take a stand against what is happening. Churchill, for all his faults, was an extraordinary and great man, without whose courage and foresight and determination we would have fallen to Nazi Germany. The Americans would not have had the jumping off base that was needed to launch D-Day and the Normandy invasions. And the very thought that this letter says he could be an important historical figure, I can't think of a single one that is more important. Earlier this year, we saw Black Lives Matter protesters daubing his statue. We now see that leading on to what is going on in schools like Seaford Head. The silent majority must stand up and speak. I'm doing it. Will you?